Now to do it. Oh, don't worry, I don't actually think this does anything. I was just using it to establish my credibility. Hi, I'm Andrew Moir and welcome to the first of the Spoilist's instant reaction reviews. This time we are looking at the Doctor Who Series 7B opener, The Bells of St. John, as written by showrunner Stephen Moffat. Now, as you probably know, Doctor Who Series 7 was split into two parts, with the first set of episodes airing last year. But make no mistake, with its new opening titles, its new music, its new co-star and new TARDIS set used to great effect in this episode, this is very much a new series. You might say we saw all these things in the Christmas specials, but the specials are something different, so we'll put that to one side. So how does Doctor Who use its opening episodes? Well, back in the Russell T Davies era, when he brought the show back, he liked to do something particularly mainstream. Rose, for example, used the language of soap opera to re-establish Doctor Who and science fiction, in fact, in the minds of a mainstream audience. Later on, it was a bit more science fiction, but nonetheless very mainstream look at partners in crime, with the great double act between David Tennant and Catherine Tate, and the impossibly cute aliens. Now, Stephen Moffat has done different things with all his series openers. Look back at The 11th Hour, which was all about re-establishing the format, new Doctor, new companions. It was pretty much a reboot for the show, new rules. Then, the next series, it was a plot-driven two-parter. That was saying to the audience, look, we know you're on board now, so pay attention, and The Impossible Astronaut, Day of the Moon very much did that. The next year, something different again. Asylum of the Daleks was a mini blockbuster, which established the format for the rest of the season. Here, we are still in Series 7, but it does have a different feel. There is that blockbuster element. It's a spy film, if you like, set in London. Very iconic, very British, very appropriate for Doctor Who's 50th anniversary. But still, it does have more of the feel of a reboot, more in tone, probably closest to The 11th Hour. New companion, in some ways. So we are rebooting, we do have a fresh feel, the show does feel new again, and I also think the pacing is very strong, which I think it was again in The 11th Hour. In my opinion, Stephen Moffat's best episode. There's just enough plot, there's just enough character, there's just enough nice touches. What are some of those nice touches? Well, the book scene early in the episode, written by Amelia Williams, is clearly a nice nod to Amy Pond. We know she was a writer at the end of the last series. I don't think that's likely to come back, but there are a couple of things that will. The Bells of St. John, that's a reference to the TARDIS. It's got a St. John's ambulance badge on it, and the bells, the telephone rings. Now, Clara rang that phone, which the number was given to her by a woman in a shop. Now, that's probably someone we already know. Maybe not, but it's going to be important later on. Also, the number 23. Clara has trouble writing the number 23. If you see in her book, her travel book, her dream destinations, she's written all her ages except for 23. Also, when she's writing the Wi-Fi password earlier in the episode, she has trouble writing the number 23. That's likely to be something connected to the mystery of Clara. Of course, Clara we have seen before. We saw her in Asylum of the Daleks first as an entertainments manager on a cruise liner who'd crashed into the asylum and had been converted into a Dalek. We next saw her in the Christmas special, where she played a barmaid or governess. Both of these characters died. This is a new incarnation of Clara. She doesn't know the Doctor, she doesn't have any of these memories. She's pretty much the same character. Feisty, that's probably a word people only use to describe TV characters. A good foil for Matt Smith, it seems. They're very much going for a screwball comedy double act feel, and that seems to work. It's refreshed Matt Smith. Keeping companions too long, maybe it makes the format a little bit stale. But this episode, that's my buzzword, is very much feeling fresh. This version of Clara seems a little less confident, perhaps a little younger than the previous ones, but it's very much the same character, and it's going to be fun to have her along. I would suspect that the main mystery is going to be put to one side for the next episodes, probably coming back in the last two. But there will be hints and little nods along the way, one would suspect. Now, the main plot of this episode is all about Wi-Fi. That's a pretty traditional Doctor Who trope, taking something familiar. We've seen the Centarians take sat-nav, we've seen the Master take mobile phones, of course the Weeping Angels and statues. So Wi-Fi are the baddies. If you click on a particular Wi-Fi signal, then it can see you, and then they send an evil robot around to suck out your brains. Now, the Spoonheads, who are the main baddie here, pretty good, pretty scary, look like normal humans, kind of like a Futurama blank robot, and then the back of their heads is flat, like a spoon, or curved probably more rightly, and they suck out your brains with that, leaving you on a little screen inside their heads to shout conveniently so you can pass on facts and move the plot forward. So, a fresh feeling episode. Main protagonist, as played by Celia Imrie, pretty businesslike, pretty familiar, decent enough foil for the Doctor, but of course being controlled by something greater. Good to see stuff coming back from the Christmas special. I thought the ending of that a little bit rushed, so Richard E. Grant is back here as the Great Intelligence, and I'm sure he'll be back along the way, possibly connected to Clara. Of course he was there when we saw them last. So overall, it's feeling pretty fresh. There's going to be lots and lots of things to explore. If you want to comment on this review, if you want to share your feedback, if you disagree completely, leave a comment down below in the blog post, or you can get in touch on social media at the Spoilist, or you can find us facebook.com/thespoilist. We will be back again for another review next week, but until then, goodbye.